Welcome to 5 Minute Bible Study. Yesterday was a minute too short because I couldn't finish verse 6, which was the controversial verse. So the first 5 verses were about judging and how you have no right to judge anybody, blah, blah, blah. And then here's the controversial verse. For me, it's controversial for me. Might be totally fine for you. Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and then turn and tear you to pieces. And here's the reason why I struggle with it. It seems to be a total change of direction. It seems to be totally opposite of what he just said. He just said not to judge anybody. Deal with your own plank. Don't deal with someone else's speck. Deal with your own stuff. How you judge is how God will judge. Blah, blah, blah. And now it feels like a total change in direction. 180. Because now he's saying don't give to the dogs what is sacred. Dogs aren't worthy. You judge someone, decide they're not worthy, and don't give them what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. Look at pigs. They're not cute. They're a gross animal. I'm not giving my pearls to it. So it sounds like it's asking you to judge. If you do, they may trample them under your feet and then turn and tear you to pieces. So here's what I wrote the day that I read it. Don't give precious things to people who are criminals, heartless. Oh, criminals. I was like, that is the weirdest word. Animals. Don't give precious things to people who are animals, heartless, cold, soulless, whom God is dead to. Because I tried to think about, okay, what is a dog? What is a pig? They're just animals. They have no feeling and emotion. They just are. They don't have souls. God is nothing to a pig or a dog. They won't appreciate it. They will walk all over your compassion and grace when you try to help them. And then they will even rip you apart and tear you down. While trying to help them deal with their own evil, they will turn and use even more evil on you. Okay, so then I tried to sum it up. I'm going somewhere with this. Hang on there. Once you have received and experienced God's compassion and grace with your own plank, how we said yesterday, you're going to experience God's grace and compassion as you try and deal with the planks in your eye. Be careful who you help with a speck. The wrong people will destroy you and your kindness or love. And so even now, as I talk to you, I really have no justification for it because I understand why that verse is saying, like, don't waste your precious things on people who aren't going to respect it or love it or be open to it. That totally makes sense. I have no issue. It's just that it sounds judgy, which is contradicting the first 5 verses. So that's where my issue comes in. I don't have a problem with the message. But here's what I do when I experience that, because I have had that a few times. At this point now in my journey, I've done this with Mark and Luke and now a big chunk of Matthew. And sometimes I find things that make me uncomfortable, or maybe I go, ooh, that's mean, God, or whatever. I have read enough to know now, from what I've seen, that Jesus was really loving. And he didn't judge people. He actually went to the people that most people didn't want anything to do with. The outcasts, the lowly, the ugly, the broken. So I know from all the stories surrounding this one that Jesus was not judgmental and Jesus is God. So I know that God is not judgmental. So in this conundrum, I just am choosing to reconcile it in my brain and go, okay, the first 5 verses make a great point. He must be trying to say something that I am not understanding, and maybe if I spent some time praying about it, I would later. But it also has value, and if I think it's judging, let's just set that aside, because obviously God wouldn't tell you to judge, because He is not judgmental. He doesn't tell you who to pick and choose. But let's just be careful with the lesson then, that we are careful with who we give compassion and grace to, and make sure that we don't fall into the pig's mud pit while we're trying to lift the pig out. Does that make sense? So this is a little tricky one for me, and that is how I deal with it. Is I know that God is not judgmental from what I've read, and so there's got to be something I'm not putting together here. Let me know what you think if you have questions. Also, I'm going to do a totally shameless plug, because this is what they're telling me to do. If you could like and subscribe is huge, or share, that would be awesome. But I'm going to keep doing this whether you do or not.